Any AI or any automation has to be built on a solid foundation.
What was the first AI that you went towards? Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here today. And I am super excited about having Derek Caldwell be my guest on, I think this is my 13th or 14th how-to series. So it's been over a year when I started doing this. And I said, wow, we got to get some AI going. And I got a chance to really meet Derek and really talk to him. I knew him before and I knew he was brilliant. However, when we were in Nashville a month and a half or 2 months ago, yep, I got to sit next to you and your mom and talk more. And I was like, oh yeah, we got to get you in the public eye. Let me do a little intro of you. And so Derek is a real estate professional with the Caldwell Group, and they serve Northern Kentucky, Southern Ohio, and Southern Indiana areas. That must be fun on different multiple listing services and different contracts.
Oh, yeah.
I know what it's like to be in two states, so that's very interesting. Now, you have a foundation, Derek, in project management, customer service, and sales. And you came from an operational background and got into real estate because your mom, Diana Caldwell, has been in real estate for many years. She's a lot like me. Her and I had a nice conversation about that, being oldies but goodies in the industry. And you decided to carry forward the legacy of your mom's business in the Caldwell Group, as well as bringing in the new strategies and strengths that you have from project management and sales and operational side. And you took to AI like crazy. And so today I'm excited because Derek is going to talk a lot about how he has incorporated AI into their team's business and the automations and operational side of it. Now, the thing that I don't want everybody to be as afraid of is when we use the term automations. It's a scary thing for a lot of people. So, Derek, you came from operations. Give us a little bit of your background of what you did prior to real estate.
Oh, yeah. So thank you for the introduction, Yvonne. Thanks for having me. So nice to see some familiar faces on here. So before real estate, I actually worked for the American Board of Family Medicine, which is shockingly, their headquarters is in Lexington, Kentucky, which is about an hour south of where we're located now. And I came on as a project manager for them for the whole country, like all the family medicine projects and things that they were releasing for all the doctors ran through the American Board of Family Medicine. So we worked on web projects and development projects and doing sprints and just everything to release updates to the everything online. So whether it be intake forms, whether it be new CE or licensure accreditations, I focused on that project heavily. And then I also was an operations director for a really small web development company in Lexington at the time. And we were over some really high-end websites with the horse racing industry and big companies like Alltech, which does like farm and medicine in Kentucky and also worked nationwide as well. So my background is purely computers and that knowledge and knowing how to work with big companies from a small standpoint on making them more efficient. And I brought that knowledge and I guess I would call it a little bit of nerdiness to the real estate world because like when none of us signed up to be a real estate agent to go into a professional marketer or a professional like computer nerd. So I guess I'm blessed to be able to have that background, to be able to share that with the team and with people that want to jump on calls like these to know what people that have a technical background are doing to make themselves more efficient. So,
It's very interesting. One of my biggest challenges with helping people grow, and usually the one big thing that I find when I do audits of their business is that they are missing an operator in the company. And now with real estate, the way it goes, you really have to have an operator, even if it's one agent with an assistant. That assistant has to be operational versus what the agent is in more of a sales type person. So you are definitely a wanted commodity out there in the industry. And if I could duplicate guys like you and Daniel Woodson and people like
mm,
that, I could make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be pulling your DNA out of you next time I see you, so I can
Perfect.
go into the lab
Clone
and
it.
do that. So healthcare industry is interesting too, because just talking to one of my doctors during my heart surgery, that industry actually has adopted AI
Yeah,
early, which is unusual for the
that's
healthcare
very
industry.
unusual.
And so, all of my stuff that when I got notes and things like that for my surgeries were all run through AI. It's very interesting. So that's great for the background. But now you had real estate in your blood
Yep.
because you grew up with it. And so,
Yes.
may I ask how old you are?
I'm turning 35 this year.
Okay, so that's great. And your mom and I had a great conversation. As I said, she's been in the industry over 30 years, like myself,
Yeah.
close
Yep.
to 30.
Actually, she's coming on 25 right now.
Yeah. And so there's some probably hesitation on her part to let you come in, even though you're
Yeah.
her son and she trusts you and she knows you're smart, to come in and actually do some of the things that you've done. And so,
Yeah.
was that a hurdle in the beginning?
I would say so because just like any business owner, things have worked so well and had been so good for so long. Like coming out of, she's gone through 809, had all of she started back in the early 2000s. So she has seen markets change. And just like when the tech boom happened in the early 2000s, when the internet came around, I feel like some agents have a harder adaptation to change. And my mom is not hard to adapt to change, but it was just different to walk into the age of real estate where we are now, where everything is so public because of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and having yourself on video and being on YouTube and Reels and now advancing with automation and AI. It's just a lot happening at once. And I think there was a lot of hesitation in the beginning because things were working fine. Like the team was still highly producing. Mom was highly producing. I was highly producing. And there was just this change that we felt in the industry with some conferences that we have attended where it was just like, if you don't grab a hold of this now, you're going to feel it later. And she gave me some freedom to chase after it. And then once she started seeing those pieces come together, my mom pulled me out of production. She said, no, we got to focus on this completely, move me into operations role. And now it's really fun because we're getting to start to talk about transition. And she's getting to the point where she wants to get out. And now she's seeing it kind of come around tenfold on 1,000-foot view and going. And I think if she was on the call today, she would say, best decision I ever made.
Yeah, and that is a huge decision. And boy,
Yeah.
really good of her to embrace that. So, what was the first thing that you did when you said, "Yay, I'm let out of the cage. Here's the first things that I wanted to change and do." First off,
Yeah.
let's talk about your tech stack. What tech
Okay.
stack do you use? CRMs and things like that. What are you using?
So right now we're on Follow a Boss. That's for us, it's the best platform. And I'll show you why when we get into some of the nitty gritty. For
And
being,
you're not a Zillow Flex team, right?
we
You're
are Zilflex,
Zillow
but
Flex. How many
we've been
agents?
on Fub for a while before Flex forced it. We were on it before. We have 13 agents on the team.
Okay.
13 agents on the team. We'll do about 200 and probably 50 to 80, 250 to 280 transactions this year. That's our goal. That's what we're shooting for. Probably close to 80 to $100 million worth of volume.
Okay, so the only way a team of 13 can do that kind of numbers is automation.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is really good. Okay, what else do you have that's integrating into all of
We
it?
used to be very heavy users of open to close, but now we are, and we have to use SkySlope because of our brokerage. But because of the non-communication or the difficulty in communication between all three and using Dotloop, we are literally just on Fub, Slack, Dotloop, Airtable, and SkySlope. Like that is our core tech stack.
And so you had to build the operations, the transaction listing coordination inside Dotloop and Airtable, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so those are products that people that can build the systems underneath and behind the scenes will choose to go to. And it's not a bad choice because Airtable's not going to sell to some other company. So
Exactly.
you won't be disrupted in your transaction and listing management product. And so that is a route that a lot of people are starting to go. They're trying to
Yeah.
proprietary systems like HubSpot and things like that to get away from the FUB and other products that could easily be sold and moved around or shut off.
Yes,
That is our challenge in the industry. And there is,
it
and I
is.
like the fact that somebody who's building these things has just proven there is no one product. There is,
Yeah.
you have to get them all to work together. Very good. So moving into, what was the first thing that you decided to do? How did you do?
Yeah. So we did a whole tech breakdown. Like the first thing that we did was figure out what we were using at the time. I think we were probably still on Top Producer. And that was our CRM at the time when I took the team's operations in my hands. We went to RealVol for a little bit and that just wasn't working for us. And then we switched to FUB. So the biggest change for us up front was finding a CRM that could grow with us and be used in a way that was going to adapt as changes in the industry adapt. And then we got really honed in on documenting what we do. So we use a part of our tech stack is Google as well. So we're heavy users in building out like an intranet inside of Google and having Google Drive be the backend for everything. And we just wanted to host things there. I would say,
Do you use Google Classroom and any of the stuff like that for training
yeah,
agents and for putting
we
things
do.
together? Okay.
We do. So it was really just a tech overhaul on just we're trying to take because it's really easy as agents to just buy into everything. And we realized that looking at P&L and just looking at the logins that we had. So we just put everything out on the table and just started reducing down to what our core is. And as an operations person and someone who loves tech, it's hard not to just keep switching things. So I've had to learn over the years, okay, we got to find something that's super solid and just stick with it because most transaction managers are very resistant to change because they just like it to be their thing. And so I've had to learn that as someone who's very adaptable and wants to change everything, that once you find the system that works
Stick with
and
it and then build
yeah,
on it, because otherwise it costs you too much money as a small business
yeah,
owner.
it
So,
does.
okay. So you got the tech breakdown. You determined what the tech stack was going to be. You based around Google Workspace and everything in there as your hub. You've got SkySlope, Slack, Dotloop, and Airtable. So what was the first AI that you went towards?
First implementation of AI that we went towards was it actually came out of the realization that one day my mom's not going to be a part of this business anymore. She'll still be a part of it, but like the face of the company, the people that's calling, like her past clients, she has over 2,000 past clients. Like one day that's going to transition, and I don't want there to be a misstep of who is the Caldwell group and who am I getting a hold of. And so my thought was I need to start just kind of sprinkling in myself into this whole entire database of clients. And so the first implementation of AI was being able to do voicemail drops to clients on their home anniversaries. And so it's really cool, like being able to use this. It's actually a very simple automation and use technology such as ElevenLabs and Slide Broadcast to be able to extract information from Follow Up Boss, create a very real professional sounding voicemail, and just dropping that into people's inboxes, just wishing them a happy home anniversary, just
This
to
is
try
the
to start
only
making that connection.
this is the only adoption of Sly Broadcast that I will sign off
Yeah.
on anything. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of Sly Broadcast. I think you're really risking when you're throwing out there on cold leads and doing stuff and it's just not a good customer experience, but it does work with your past clients and exactly what you're doing, because ElevenLabs, and I'm so glad you brought that up, ElevenLabs, Hey Jen, the amount of things that you can do with AI, and it doesn't have to be you all the time, is just amazing. So you said, let's just sprinkle in an anniversary phone call, voicemail, and let me build it once and it goes out. And now the
Yeah.
same voicemail goes out to everyone every anniversary. And it's an action
Every
plan that you
yeah,
begin to
every
build
anniversary.
off, right?
Yeah. I realized like it became a task for me. That was a task that I wanted to do. And I wanted to do it live and in person, but I realized, oh, to be able to do that with 2,500 and growing people every single year is so overwhelming. If it's 50, fine, we can make that happen. But like we're dropping voicemails every day. And
You walk us through on a screen share
yeah,
exactly like what's the process and where does it sit and is it housed and do you edit it once a year or is there anything that you do? How does
yes.
that whole process work?
So the back end of
This
any
alone,
autom
you guys, I want to reiterate to the audience, if you're not paying attention and taking notes on this one little thing, this alone can get you 20 deals a year minimum.
okay. So I'm in the back end of Follow Up Boss, and I will preface everything that we do when it comes to AI and automation that the most important thing that an agent can do is make sure that their stages or how they're classifying their people inside of their CRM is the most important thing for everything. Any AI or any automation has to be built on a solid foundation. And so what I will say is for us, even before we became a Zillow Flex team, we actually stole and used the Zillow Flex stages from like lead, attempted contact, spoke with customer, all the way down to close. Because as a team leader with a growing team, even if you're a solo agent, having stages that are non-ambiguity, like that is really important because Yvonne might consider someone an A client. And when she's talking to me, I might consider them a B client. And so if we can't get that right, then any point of automation or any point of AI will not work because it's up for discretion. And so I like having non-bias in our CRM. So if that's one hack that I can give, like that will make your life so much easier when it comes to building out tools like I'm about to show.
And as a team lead, you at the end of the day get the say on what that segmentation and those statuses and labels are.
Yep.
Because, and an agent on the team doesn't just get to randomly pick what they want to name it.
Yes. Yep. So to make this happen, and I'll show it happen and I'll play an example of what it sounds like. And then we'll go back into FUB and I'll show you like how it works inside of Follow Up Boss. So it works off of, we have a custom field inside of Follow Up Boss for the client's home anniversary. Now we're putting that and inputting that information there with automation, and I can show that and how that works, but that is the trigger of everything. So if we don't know that, then the automation for AI for being able to send a voicemail just does not work. So on the
And
back end, oh yeah,
and
go ahead, Yvonne.
grateful is spelled wrong.
Oh,
Great.
yeah. So we just had a event for our Mother's Day, and we have an ice cream shop called Graders, and they spell it Grae. So it's like a play on words.
Oh, okay, there you go. That works then. Thank you. My
So
OCD was kicking in.
yeah,
So you have this on the left-hand side. It's all built in.
yep. So
Birthdays,
once
anniversaries. Do you send out a form to your clients and they fill
we
all
do,
that and it dumps it right
yep,
into here?
it does. And so when I show this, the application for this is so broad. So we're using it right now for home anniversaries, but eventually we're going to start building onto it because over the past 6 months that we've had this running, actually it's probably closer to almost a year. We've just been checking in on it to make sure it sounds good, and that way, before we just unleash it, we want to do some audits on it. So every inside of Follow Up Boss, any CRM, you should have the ability to trigger something based on a date. And in FUB, we can create an automation that triggers based on the home anniversary is today. Because they're really just looking at the month and the day. The year is not really important, not for the trigger at least. So because we have the home anniversary here, every April 14th, it's going to trigger that automation to start. And all that I'm going to do inside the automation is tag the client AI home anniversary so that in the background, we use an automation platforms. There's three of them. There's Zapier, there's Make, and then there's a new one that came on the scene that's really for more programmer people called N8N.
What
For
is
the
it?
longest, it's called N8N,
And
which is what
Okay.
in the number 8 and then in again. We have switched to that, but I have everything built out in make.com, which is what we have used before. And I would recommend make to a lot of people because it's a little bit more complex than Zapier with a lot more power. So if you can figure out Zapier, then you can figure out make.com, and the possibilities are endless in make.com. And I guess I should set this up and say, maybe you guys might think, why should I trust this? And what gives me the rights to be able to share this? Last year alone, we ran 1 million automations on our team, and that is over the course of the year. And last week we tracked this, we saved over 278 hours worth of time with our automations. And the week before that, we saved almost 500 hours worth of time
In 1 week.
in 1 week. Yeah.
So literally, you're saving staff, salaries, hiring, so many things.
Yeah.
So you run this with how many admins?
We have a transaction coordinator on our team, we have a listing manager on our team, and we have a social media on our team. Three
One,
admins on our team, one each.
and you're doing 250 deals a year approximately.
Yeah, last year we did 220. This year our goal is to do roughly 250, 280. More if we can recruit. That's a whole different conversation. So once that home anniversary triggers, it's going to trigger an automation. So inside of make.com, this is what it looks like. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-step automation. So the first step is always what triggers the automation to happen. So from us, it was having that tag be added inside of Follow Up Boss. What happens next is we have to figure out who is the client that got tagged the automation. So the best way to think about using automation tools and AI tools such as make.com or Zapier is know what your end result wants to be and work backwards, because it's really hard to figure out where you're going if you don't know where you're ending. And so I knew that, okay, I wanted to drop this voicemail, and I worked backwards until I said, okay, I think I can tag it now and it will work flawlessly. But I have to know who we tagged it on. So I want to pull the FUB profile or the client profile to be able to grab all the information out of there. From there, I need my voicemail to be personalized. It doesn't sound good to be able to drop a voicemail to Yvonne and say, hey, Yvonne, this is Derek with the Caldwell Group. Happy home anniversary. It just sounds canned. And for most people, they'll see that as canned. But what I wanted to do was take their home anniversary date and figure out how many years they've lived in the home. So inside of these automation tools, there are different tools inside of there that can do math for us. So all that I'm doing, this is this node right here, the set home anniversary year. It's taking the date inside of Follow Up Boss, and it's taking the current year and minusing it from the home anniversary year. And that's giving me a number. It's giving me the amount of time they've lived in that home. So now I know who I'm working with. I know when their home anniversary was. I know how long they've lived in the home. Now I can start implementing some AI. So inside of ElevenLabs, you can connect it inside of make.com and Zapier. I have trained ElevenLabs, which is a voice AI on my voice. I was podcasting for actually most of this year, and I've stopped it. I should go back to it. But I uploaded probably 30 hours worth of my voice into ElevenLabs. So when I play it, it sounds scary like me, which is wild to think about. But now, and I'll show you the script in here, since I have my information, I can now put into the script that ElevenLabs will create really personalized information about the call that I'm about to make. So I'm literally saying, hey, Yvonne, hey, Janet, hey, Derek. I'm saying the user's first name or the client's first name. It feels personal. So I'm not even though this is all AI and it's all automated, it feels it feels like they missed a phone call from me, even though we're just dropping it in with live broadcast. And I'm going to say to them, I just want to take a moment to wish you a very happy 1 year, 5 year, 15 year, 20-year home anniversary.
And that will calculate based on that anniversary date. So it better be.
Well, it better be right. Yes. Which it is for us. We definitely make sure that's right. And so once this generates from 11 Labs, I like to keep record of it. So I drop it into Google Drive so that way I can save it for use cases like this where I can demo it and show it off to great agents. And then the very end, we just drop it inside their voicemail. So what sounds, oh, how do you build something like that? It's very, if we break it down very simply, it's just they get tagged. I figure out who got tagged. I need to figure out my date. I have to create the voicemail and then I need to send the voicemail. It's very simple in nature. You want to hear what it sounds like?
We do. Yes.
Okay, here we go. This is what the voicemail sounds like.
Hey, Courtney, this is Derek Caldwell with the Caldwell Group. I just wanted to take a moment to wish you a very happy 1-year home anniversary. Our team is honored to have been part of your journey, and I hope your home has brought you joy and great memories. If there's ever anything you need, whether it's real estate advice, home updates, or just catching up, don't hesitate to reach out. Wishing you all the best, and congratulations again on your home anniversary. Have a wonderful day.
Isn't that good?
Fantastic. That's amazing.
It is amazing. And like, just be, and you don't have to send 30 hours into 11 Labs. It can get it there with a couple hours worth of data or your voice. But the more you give it, the more it learns your natural pauses and when you take breaths and how your voice intonation goes down and up. And if you really listen to it at the very end, my intonation went down because it
Right.
realized that I was ending. And it's wild. So that was the first huge implementation of AI that we did for the team.
So Jeff asks, how often do you service this automation and does the script change each year?
That's a great question. We service it hardly ever because it works. And I guess we make sure that it's getting logged since we're saving it inside of Google Drive. I just pop into there about every quarter and make sure that there are voicemails or saved recordings that are happening. And the script never changes.
Saved recording happening. Is it going from Google Drive into Make and all of that? Or is it taking it from Follow Boss after it already sends it and it's sticking it in Google Drive?
So the way that it happens is FUB is feeding Make the data. Make then uses 11 Labs to create the voicemail. Slide Broadcast has to have a file to be able to send. So we upload it to Google Drive and then we send it through Slide Broadcast with that file in Google Drive. But we also want to keep it for historical records too. So as long as if I log in today and I see voicemails that have gone out today or yesterday, I know it's working. And since the information being put in dynamically with the automation, it is a self-running, I don't maintenance it at all. And I don't change it. It is just what it is.
And Slide Broadcast gets the numbers from Make?
Slide Broadcast gets the number from Make. Yep. So because I'm pulling the Follow Up Boss profile to figure out who it is, it's grabbing their phone number, it's grabbing their home anniversary, it's grabbing their name. And then all I'm doing in the automation is just putting that information into the next part of the automation.
Okay. And then Diane asks, why is Slide Dial needed if it can run through the numbers in Follow Up Boss? I think I know the answer to that, but go ahead and answer that one.
Because it just drops the voicemail. Unless you're using a service like Twilio or something that's going to actually make the call, then Slide Broadcast is one of your only options. And the affordability of dropping a voicemail is so cheap inside. Like this automation probably costs the team literally like fractions of a penny for every single time that it runs.
Yeah, because if you were just using Follow Up Boss, you would have to have a VA basically dropping it into that phone number.
Yes.
And doing it manually.
Correct. Yeah.
So, very good. I love it. Would you be so kind as to actually provide me with the SOP for that specific thing? And
Sure.
then we'll share it with the people that have attended today.
I'll also share the blueprint in Make, so that way you just have to upload it and you just start plugging your stuff in and it should work.
See, it pays to show up on these things. So how would you describe this skill set to outsource this to a VA? Good question.
I would say for VAs that like if you find a VA or maybe somebody on Fiverr who promotes skill in Make or Zapier, If they can't figure that out, then you hired the wrong person. Like, it is a very low barrier to entry if someone understands an automation platform. If I feel like most real estate agents don't want to spend the time to learn things because we're salespeople, we just want to be out in the field selling. But if you can outsource to someone who has knowledge, then they can implement this very easily. It is a very low barrier to entry for someone who has that mind.
So you have to ask the right questions when you're looking for a VA for this position.
So the
They
best question that you
are-
can ask a VA is, do you understand how a webhook works? And if they understand that, then you're hiring the right person.
Because I would not be that person to hire because I have to go Google webhook. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I didn't understand what he said, Yvonne. What was the word? Webhook or webbook?
exactly,
Webhook.
webhook.
So
So Derek, screen share your make, that line. The very first thing that has to happen is the webhook.
yes, all that it is a trigger. So inside of CRMs, when things happen, from a developer standpoint or from the back end, when things happen, it triggers something called a webhook. And all that a webhook does is pass data and information from point A to point B. So that is called a webhook. It is a transfer of data from one to two. So when you're talking to someone who understands automation or understands the backend components, that is a very easy thing to understand. And what that gives you is information. So now, because that quote unquote webhook has triggered, it has passed information from Follow Up Boss to make.com. Then I can use that information to go through the entire process. And the funny thing is, the only thing that the webhook is giving me is an ID. And that ID is the profile ID. Because if you don't know, Follow Up Boss, when you create a new client or a new person inside of there, it assigns every person a unique ID. And you can find it because you can go to your URL, and at the very top, it's going to give you a number, and that is that person's ID. So the only thing that webhook is giving me is that number. And now from that number, I can pull the whole entire FUB profile and get any point of data that I want out of it.
Cool. Let's learn something else there. Okay, really good question Jeff asked. Do you have something you can pull up on the screen that is your table of contents of automations that you have built and the purposes for those automations? All the different ones, just the titles. You don't have to explain them, but just the titles, what you actually have done.
So this is the back end of N8N for us. So you can see, like, just in the last 7 days, we've ran 7,400 executions and saved 210 hours over the last week. But these are all, I think there's 40 something automations that we have for the team right now. So I'll just roll through them. And a lot of them might not make sense, but they make sense to me. But yeah, these are all the automations
So
that our team.
So this system, you have an automated thing that writes a blog.
Yep. Using AI.
Employee onboarding.
Yeah, when we use Typeform for everything. So when our recruiter recruits a new agent, we send them a Typeform. They fill it out with their bio and their information. And on the back end, we're creating their Google login. We're creating their FUB profile. We're creating their Slack account. We're creating all of their onboarding documents. They're getting added to Google Classroom. Like, that alone saves me time because I don't want to have to do that. So we created an automation to save time about it.
So new listing submitted. So I come in your team, I take a new listing and I trigger it by moving the status in Follow Up Boss to listed or something like that, whatever you named it. And then it triggers that type form and I fill that all out.
Fill it out. That will go to the automation that will create everything in the Airtable. It'll create everything in SkySlope. It'll create everything in Open to Close. It'll create the whole entire file. So my TC just has to log in and click send congratulations email.
So
because
these are automations that are built first. Now,
Yes.
how do you take AI like you did with the voice in 11labs and
Yep.
go really blow your mind stuff?
So the best one to show is probably the blog writer. So it's not hard to automate a blog, but to come up with concepts to automate a blog is very difficult. But by using AI to do your brainstorming and thinking on behalf of you, I think takes a lot of pressure off the end user. So even that this looks a little bit complicated, but when I share what it actually does, it's like, oh, that's how it works. When we create blogs for our website, we want them to be unique. And so one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with when just logging into ChatGPT and saying, help me write this blog post, is it all starts to sound the same because they're not giving context back to ChatGPT. So what we do when we start creating blog posts, like this whole entire first section is just creating the idea. So whenever this right here, this prepare topic is ChatGPT. It is ChatGPT's node inside the automation. All of this before it is grabbing all of our historical information of blogs. And I'm feeding all of our blogs to ChatGPT, and I'm telling it to not duplicate content because I want it to be unique. And so just this right here is just creating an idea, a unique idea using Perplexity, because we're going to use Perplexity to help us with our research and our idea generation so that we create a blog that is unique to our website and our team.
Are you telling it also to go find videos that you guys have done? And because you're multi-channeling everything you're doing, right?
Yeah. And
Okay,
since it's Perplexity, we can have it search the internet. So I'm having it go out and research with major news sources, with Zillow, with Redfin, I'm trying to find national news for real estate to then bring it back locally here in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati.
do you also have it research local data? Do you have it go out into the stats from like Zillow, and you have it go into, is there a way to access the MLS for any of this? Not yet, huh?
Not yet. Yeah, it depends on the MLS because some MLSs don't have a bridge connection where they're connecting their data with an API to other data. So really what we do is we want it to look at national, a little bit of local, but then just take that and formulate, since Perplexity is all knowing in its current time, it can search news articles that are happening here in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati with our local news sources. And I want it to figure out what is our local news saying about real estate? And then how can I take facts from the national and what's happening at a larger scale and then bring it back into the local?
Do you at any point go in and proofread it to make
Oh,
sure
yes.
you do it at the end before it goes out?
Yep. So at the very end, I am a believer that your blog shouldn't be 100% automated. Like it shouldn't just run and then post. It should run, post to me, and then me give it to a VA or someone else to actually upload it. So that for this one, I knew that the very end, I wanted it to email me the blog post in Google. So it just sends me the email. The email is the blog, and I can read through it and make sure that everything sounds good. And then from there, we upload it to our blog. But yeah, this is our blog automation where we're creating the topic of what we want to talk about for that day. We're going to go back into, this is ChatGPT as well. We're going to go into their O3 model and have it look at research. So it's going to actually go in and dive down and look at research from a national and local level. And then it's going to take all the information from doing the content idea generation, figuring out what topic we want to talk about, all the research that we did on that topic, and then it's going to take all of that information and combine it into actually writing the blog. And then after it writes the blog, it sends me an email, I read through it, and then we get it posted.
So I'm going to take it to the next level and see if you've done this yet. As to the point that Diane is asking, when Diane says, what about putting it into a small team kind of thing, right? So you have a small team. Here's my take on it. If you go to this point and now you have a blog, you now have a script, because now you can take that and you can put it into 11labs, which you've trained to be your video. You've actually done the 2-minute video, and now it's you. You can then make it record the video that now you're sending out to your database, or you're putting on YouTube, and multi-channels are going to pull leads into you.
Yeah. So we just started experimenting with this actually, where we're taking this blog and we're also just finding information about like the sentiment of our local market with Grok, with Twitter, Elon's AI. And actually, I pulled one of our blog posts up. We did this whole Q1, what's happening in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, and we created the blog, but all this whole entire blog with all the research that was done and the sources, we actually loaded into Notebook LM, and then it produced a script for us. And then I took that script, fed it back into 11labs, and I have a podcast now where I'll play a little snippet of it where it's talking. It sounds like me. It actually sounds like my podcast that I was running for a long time, with like how I paused and did everything. And here, this is what it sounds like. But it's interesting because you can take it's really wild. Like, just to be able to take everything that you're doing and load it into something like 11labs and be able
Yeah.
to play.
So
That
if
wasn't
you just did it into Notebook LM, it's going to use random voices. But if you take it from there and put it into 11labs, it'll use your voice.
yes.
So now you have
Yeah.
the multi-channel. So I am in love with this
Yes, it's been
concept that
huge.
I've been trying to like work on as well. And
It's really interesting because when we started
What's
using
next?
AI to do our blogs, our intake for Google calls, like our Google profile started getting more organic phone calls from people curious about listing and buying real estate, just from making sure our blog was current and being updated more frequently.
what's current to you? That was asked. How often do you blog?
So I want to do it at least once a week, and I was really good at that because the blog itself is automated to a point, and then it becomes manual. It's easy to get a blog post created. It's harder to remember, even though that sounds so silly, to post it. So this is where a VA or someone on your team, or if you can do this, then it's fantastic. But getting it up is now the challenge, which sounds so counterintuitive. But for a long time, we were doing 3 times a week. We would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we went once a week. And now we're getting back into that once a week
And
momentum.
all of those were going into your Google business profile?
Yep. So we'll post it on Google Business. There's a whole separate, like, we could talk separately about Google Business because we actually have AI writing all of our Google posts for us 3 times a day. Like, that is getting updated 3 times a day because I don't really care about the end user's experience on Google. I care about Google's experience on
You
Google.
care about
Yeah.
Google. Yeah. See, that's so I had Scott Van Sia from Optimize 5 who optimizes Google profiles. And that's exactly what he said. He said, what you're posting on Google business profile is meant for Google to send its bots out. And you want that SEO driven. They want
Yes.
to see that you're like even answering questions. You create the question, you answer the question. And
Yeah.
Google doesn't care that you're answering your own questions.
Yeah.
And okay, because they just want activity happening. Get your videos back up and let's do some Q&A. I know you guys have mind blown, and this is
This is like touching the bare needle. One of the biggest things that I would say as a hack that everybody could implement that would be very simple is an AI using ChatGPT to respond to all of your Google reviews. It is not hard to set up inside of Zapier or make.com, but being able to, as a new Google review comes in to your profile, and then having an AI respond to that Google review on your behalf is game changer because it's telling Google that you care and that you're keeping your profile up to date. And even if the review is not good, hopefully that never happens to all of us because we're all high performing agents, but we can't help what people say online. You can have good prompting inside that ChatGPT that says, even if the review is below 4 stars, reply with kindness and reply with like professionalism. And it's just, that is a really simple thing that everybody could do and make it.
I don't know why
so much
people
easier.
don't reply to the reviews. It's a huge tip that Google gives you. What do you guys got?
What of the products that you had mentioned, Make, Fub, all of that would help automate the Google business profile stuff?
So I'll answer that one first. You can do it with Zapier or Make, either one. I am a bigger proponent of Make for cost. Zapier is so expensive. It is stupid expensive. But Make is, especially if you're getting into the automation game, It's very affordable and it's not as expensive as Zapier, but there's a little bit of a learning curve. And that's where I would say YouTube will be your best friend. And there are some great videos on YouTube. The biggest difference is display. Zapier is top down and Make is from left to. That's once you understand that you're building from left to right instead of top down, like to me, it just unlocked everything. It's, oh, okay, I can follow that. That makes sense.
And Zapier looks like a spreadsheet to me, whereas
Yeah.
Make is visual. It's got the icons and it's just more visual.
Mm.
For those that are maybe in, like, I would say everyone who's on the call is very interested in AI and automation, or else you wouldn't be here. You have to figure out your pain point. To be able for me to scroll through all 50 of our automations, it's very easy to go, oh my gosh, I want that. And I want that for you. But every single automation that we have created and built for our team came from something that brought us trouble or pain or time. And so my automation stack might work, but might not, because you might experience a different pain point or a different struggle in your business than what we're struggling with.
And
And so
you have to remember that it's the automations include the AIs. So
yes,
automation is what gets AI to do what it needs to do. And the AI
yeah,
is into each automation. So
yes,
yeah, so that's one disconnect sometimes. And it took me a while to go, what's the connection between AI and automation?
yeah. It's hard because they're so different yet very intertwined. You can't do really good AI without really good automation.
How many of you on this call have automations in your CRM right now, like action plans, campaigns, automations? Do you have them built and are you using them just from the CRM side of it?
And I
Like,
give you if you're not even doing that, let me
if you're
give you
not
a
doing
really
that,
quick hack
yeah.
that you can do very simply. The easiest automation to set up in any CRM, especially Follow Up Boss, is tagging the stages that your people are entering. So I move someone from lead to attempted contact, or from showing homes to pending or under contract. Anytime someone moves down the pipeline on our team, we tag them that stage. So it's all done inside of Follow Up Boss. There's no secret automation that has to happen. But the power of knowing where people have been is very powerful, because we have agents on the team that move people all day long through their stages. From a leadership standpoint, I want to know my missed opportunities. From a solo agent standpoint, I want to know my missed opportunities. So if I pull all of my nurtures, right, and then I say, show me everybody in my nurtures that are tagged showing homes or submitting offers, I just found my list of lost opportunities. Because it's
explain that a little bit deeper. I think I get it. You're saying
yeah,
that they went to that stage, but never went to under contract.
correct.
And so you're getting a whole filtered list of people that basically just disappeared into the never
The
land.
biggest coaching question is what happened? Help me help you with your list of 15 people that made it all the way to submitting offers, but we never closed them. What help me help you close them? And that's a bummer to look at, because you're like, oh, we have 17,000 people in Follow Up Boss. We have hundreds of people in that filter. It's ouch, that kind of stinks, but it helps you figure out your lost
And
profits.
you do that with the stage gets changed as the agent is moving them through the stages. But then
Yep.
they're also, at the time they move to the stage, they're adding the tag because you're filtering by the tag.
We are. And that is truly an automation, because the way that I see Follow Up Boss or any CRM is, if I can automate regular tasks that I want the agents to do, then as long as they are keeping their CRM current, then as a blessing to them, I'm going to update it behind the scenes for them. So I'll show you, it's very quick to show what that actually looks like. So I have that example profile pulled up. So you can see their tags right here. As I move them down all the stages, it's going to pop in an attempted contact tag. So I'll refresh.
So you have AI automating that when a stage moves, an agent doesn't have to manually tag it. AI is tagging it.
Yeah, so the automation tags is historical for us. But yeah, anytime we're moving down stages, the stage gets tagged inside their profile. So now I have historical information about that. I guess FUB is down, where I can now run history on that. And for us, being able to see that's very important. I don't want to miss things through the crack. That's actually when I sit down with the agents and do one-on-ones with them, that's a filter I run. I want to see where their lost profits are.
And none of this will work. I want to reiterate that none of the AI will really work for you unless you are using some CRM and you have the automation set up. It's just, it goes hand in hand. So if you're not using a CRM or you have one and you're not using it, don't waste any time doing AI.
Yeah, I would agree.
You can do a blog post, so you can set up and things like that. But for the most part, you're not going to get the follow-up and the people raising their hand going, come list me. I want to buy a house.
Exactly.
That's how a team of 13 with automations and AI gets to the number of transactions that they're doing now. Because they're really just calling you now, aren't they? People just call you.
I would hope so. Yeah. Our Google intake over the past, I guess, 3 to 6 months, that has been a huge game changer for us, just making sure Google is happy with what we're doing. And if we look at our lead flow from last year to this year, Google has become a prominent source of our business that was not there before. So I can really say that just by doing blogs, the responding to AI and just making sure Google is happy with what we're doing through AI and automation, like that has led to organic business for the team. And it's been a huge breath of fresh air because no one likes paying 40% to Zillow.
Right. And YouTube will do the same if you put the energy and effort into it. So
for sure.
Any questions? Yes, Diane.
Derek, thank you so much. This has been unbelievable. Because something that keeps me up at night is I never do blog posts. And you answered my question for me, which is I know I can get the questions and I know I can get the answers, but systematizing it, operationalizing it is what you just showed is just, oh my God, amazing. So my question is, we just uploaded actually our first or second blog post, not on our website, but in Google Business Profile. I believe you do it as an update. So I just wanted you to clarify, we use the word blog, everyone has a website and there might be a tab that says blog. So can you just clarify, where are you putting the content that's created as what you're referring to as blog posts?
That's a great question. Inside, if you go to the Google profile or look at your Google account, on the left-hand side, it has your location and it has your photos and then it has your reviews and then it has something called posts. 3 times a day, we're having AI write a 1,000 word post, and the prompt for ChatGPT is, this is being written for Google, for SEO, and for you being able to index that we are professionals in real estate. Like, I do not care if a consumer reads it. It is not written for them. It is written for Google. So Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m., we have 1,000 word written posts that automatically, I don't proofread these because, again, they're not written for me. They're written for Google. And I just want Google to start learning that we are professional real estate agents. We're rated highly in the area. We work with buyers and sellers and investors. We help sellers sell their homes. We help buyers find their dream home. And it's helping just prime the pump for Google to start understanding who we are. So that way, as we do post really current, timely blog posts, or we are responding to reviews, the algorithm on Google is saying, oh yeah, I know who they are. And they're having the blogs and the reviews to back up who they are. So when people search, let's just show them. So the automated post is helping us with that.
And the blogs, where are you putting the blog post?
The blogs are going actually on our website.
Okay.
So it's 2 things. So we have AI helping us with the blogs that are going online to our website. And then we have AI helping with, they're called content posts on Google My Business Profile to feed into Google.
And a follow-up to that is, how does AI know what to create for content? You're saying you're creating 1,000 word post for Google. I would love your prompt.
I will send it to Yvonne and then she can distribute it out.
But as far as the content, so they just know who you are. So is it like a super generic 1,000 word post? Super generic. It's not talking about any of your listings or anything like that.
Nope. I just want Google to recognize that we are a real estate team. We're located in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. We help buyers and sellers.
That's
Like
it.
that, it's just feeding keywords. Like it's
That's it.
just feeding all the things. It is very SEO heavy. And
That's it.
so I'm okay if it says we help buyers 3 days a week, because all I'm doing is feeding keywords and feeding like really highly enriched SEO content back to Google.
And that's
So
one of the key things that you're having AI do, is you're telling it, we use the term stuff it with SEO terms. Okay.
oh
But
yeah.
you want it to be, it's going to find that for you, as well as there's the other product called Ask the Public on what
Yes.
you want to know. So your local area, you can go to Ask the Public and find out what the topic can be. Then you go to AI, Perplexity, Grok, wherever you're going to get your details. And then you're saying in your prompt, please make this as highly SEO attractive as
Yes.
possible, or whatever.
Yeah. You'll
Jeff,
want to use long tail keywords. That's
That's
the
it's so
proper
funny
term.
because what, 15 years ago, that was the common thread that we were all talking about back then. SEO,
Yeah.
long tail keywords. And then it dropped off the face of the earth. And now all of a sudden it's back again, but it's
Now it's back.
with AI. Jeff asked if you had to start from scratch, what would be the most important automations you would build first? Now he did answer that when Derek said your pain points, because his pain points might be different than yours. Like right now, I'm trying to figure out how to build a podcast and do it right out of the gate, because I forget just getting on the microphone and start talking. So
Yeah.
the intro, I want the outro, I want the music in the background. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that, which I would be best served if I gave it to an AI automation and how to do it.
If I like Jeff, if I were to meet with you and say we're going to work on AI together, I would have to start with your CRM first and get that in a place where it's consistent and non-biased. Because then after it is, you can layer in automations and AI on top of it, and it will start working. But because our business is so fueled by our CRM, because our business should be fueled by our CRM is probably the better way to put it, then that has to be right first. If my systems blew up today, I would start back with the CRM, and then I would layer in the pain points on top of it. Does that help?
Yeah, I get that. And I do totally understand that it's a personal focus. I was just curious, just into your mind, what would be your priority focus, especially since you mentioned laid out all of your tech and then remove some of the pieces, and all right, what if you laid out all of your automations and they were gone?
I would go,
I have to build the ones that are most important first.
I would start with CRM. After I went to CRM, I would service the client next. Like our client database is where, because I have thought that is a gold mine. So the being able to serve them and all the automations around serving the client would be next. Then I would go probably to transaction coordination, and then I would go to all the other fun stuff. But our past client database is the gold mine. So if I wait to the end to do that, then I'm disserving my client. So I would do that. That piece would be the first thing that I would do if I had to start over.
And that's like the home purchase anniversary
Home
touch.
purchase anniversaries, yeah. Making sure I know when they do things, or inviting them to events, or all the things that help my clients.
Management, listing coordination management. It's the touch points that the client has that you're trying to make really good. Hence the reason when Jeff and I were talking about Brett Kepler and Next, that product, Brett came back and added AI at a high level into Next. So it's already got a lot of those automations and AI pulled in there for the customer experience to be better. Yeah. Diane, you said something about you use ChatGPT, how to use Perplexity. Is there a difference? So there's a difference where the data comes from for each of those things, but you want to use them all. It's like I have them all saved in bookmarks, and basically I just go over here to my AI tools, and I've got ChatGPT, Revy, Perplexity, Notebook LM, Claude, Grok are all the main ones. And Grok is Twitter, it's X. So it's pulling, it is the most current data of the consumer in the world, okay? Because it's pulling information from Twitter all day long of people putting stuff in there. Perplexity is more business based. It's news articles. It's going to search the web pages of Wall Street Journal and a lot of different things like that. ChatGPT is OpenAI. So it's a Microsoft product, I believe, is chat, or was it?
Soon not to be. Yeah, they're disconnecting.
Yeah, they're disconnecting. Claude will build products for you. Claude actually takes data, you put it in from other places, and then it'll build charts and stuff like that. It writes code. And so they use them all. They all are like Notebook LM, one of my favorite, funnest things to do.
Can you tell us why?
Because Notebook LM can build, and I just did this on my ops mastermind, where Sheila Zakari, she's using it to put in SOPs and stuff, and then building out her operations procedures for training and onboarding an agent or offboarding an agent. And she's building, because it'll do a podcast. Okay. It doesn't have to be your voice. It'll give you 2 people. And if you haven't played with it, you must. It's free with Google Workspace. And so she's building out FAQs and all kinds of things inside there. And all you have to do is dump a file in or whatever. Lots of stuff. If you play around with it, F around and find out is what we always say. So Janet, hand raised, go for it.
I could ask questions for hours, but I won't. I just want to thank you for doing this, Yvonne and Derek both, because of all the AI webinars I've been on, most of them make my head spin. This one hasn't. This one to me has cleared the clouds. I still have a lot of work to do. Do you guys agree? Like this one just gave us clarity. I don't have all the answers, but now I have the confidence and just the desire to roll up my sleeves and fix things. So I just really want to thank you.
Francis, hand raised.
I finally figured out how to raise my hand. So that's my first accomplishment.
I love it.
Oh my God. But Derek, I know you from your mom. I love your mom. Oh my God, this was so amazing. I have to agree with Janet because usually, first of all, I haven't had much sleep. This would be so far gone over my head. I am it's overwhelming a little bit, but I can actually understand it. And then I'm just going to make Diane crazy the rest of the day now, asking and talking about ideas. So this was great. I think you should do,
Thank you.
I don't know, like a video every day, like a tip or an idea. I don't know. You know how like Tom Tula, people do these little
go build
things?
this today, and it's this little thing, and you can just go build it. Yeah, I
That'd
agree.
be cool. I would love that. I think that's a huge compliment because this stuff it can be so complicated. And my goal today was how do I bring value and not overwhelm? Because I'm so addicted and I love this topic that I can start talking in that lingo and then it leaves an overwhelmingness to everybody. So thank you is really high. Like that just made my day saying that it was understandable because that was my whole goal. So I really appreciate it.
Do you offer services? Because the place my mind went first was not dump this to my TC and assistant, but it was, I want to make sure my follow-up boss is doing some of these things and we are using the right stages and it's ready for me. I'm ready for that audit. Do I go back to a follow-up boss person or does somebody like you do any kind of consulting on that end?
I try not to do much of it because it just overwhelms my time and there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes. But I say, are you a FUB user?
Oh yeah.
There are some great people in the ecosystem. And so
I would add Follow Up Boss community Facebook page.
Okay.
And of course, you're going to get recommended to the top ones. You can even say, hey, no offense, I'm hoping for somebody that's more behind the scenes. I would say, I want a realtor who's willing to show me how you do it. Okay. Because
his name is Derek Caldwell.
Yeah, and his name is Derek Caldwell. And because usually what happens is, and I get a little bit as somebody who's always being asked to recommend somebody, the companies that actually do the system work, they're not selling real estate on a day-to-day basis. Right. And so really you just want, like you and Francis said, give me a couple of basic things and let me go do it.
Yeah,
and show me that my system's already set up a good enough, or if I really have a mess, tell me what I do quickly to fix it. I don't want somebody in there messing around inside my CRM. I did that myself and it really irritated me. I said, never again will I let somebody in my system to go in and rearrange stages and tags and
yeah, there's power in having, I'm a big control person when it comes to our tech stack. It's why we don't use our brokerage provided stack. We own it. There's a big difference in you figuring out the problems that you have and fixing it than just signing up for a service and them just dumping their product into your CRM.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of honesty of just sitting down and diagnosing your problem and saying, oh, if I can fix, let me just start here. And then I'll move and I'll go beyond that and start just fine tuning things. I would say start taking little chunks out. Don't try to tackle the whole entire project. That is completely overwhelming. So again, if you could change one thing about your CRM, about FUB, what would that be? And then how soon can you get that completed to help your business grow? And then once that's working and really working for you, what's the next thing you could change? And take it in little projects, and you'll start seeing a huge advancement in your time and what you're actually producing, that it'll seem less overwhelming if you take it in chunks.
And to that point, I had interviewed Christian Stubbs a couple of months ago about him building his team really big. And one of the best things, advice, I was just listening to it again because I'm turning it into a podcast, was that he said every Monday is his content day. He doesn't do anything but build content and figure out what's going out where to the consumer, who his consumer is and what do they need to hear. And that's all he does. And it's the layering effect of all of those. Then he takes that content and he puts it into these automations like Derek's talking about. So you have to really chunk it down and block it down. You guys, thank you so much. Derek, you are just magic in my world. So thank you so much for being here today, and we'll get the recording out as fast as possible. And you guys, if you have any questions, Derek Caldwell.
Yeah, find me on Instagram. I do not mind chatting and talking about this and helping. So yeah, find me on Instagram. I would love to continue the conversation further.